Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 9:33. And to all those who are here, please silence your phones. And then if you're able, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now I'll turn this over to our secretary, Evelyn.
Oh, okay. Can you hear? Oh, yeah, you can. Video disclaimer. The general session is being filmed and posted online. If you speak during homeowner comments, your image and comments will be included in the filming. Private audio or video recordings are prohibited. And roll call. President Roxanne?
Here.
Vice President Kathleen?
Present.
Treasurer Lynn? Teresa? Here. Kurt?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
And Evelyn Thomas.
Okay, thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as written. I do want to just point out that you'll notice that we do not have the budget on the agenda this morning to discuss and vote on. There were a couple of items we were still waiting for on reserves, and we want to make sure that we are planning ahead for the next board and we have enough money to cover the projects that we absolutely need to do next year. So I'm asking the board for the motion to accept the agenda as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
And is there any discussion or additions? Okay, then all in favor, say yay or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Aye. Oh, okay. Executive session disclaimer. On October 21st, 2024, a special session meeting, and on October 28, 2024, executive session meeting was held where the board of directors discussed some or all of the items related to the following: litigation or potential litigation, matters relating to the formation of contracts with third parties, member discipline, member delinquency, including payment plan requests, personnel matters, and our approval of executive session meeting minutes. In the interest of protecting the association's assets, the board voted in a prior executive session to initiate foreclosure proceedings on one property.
Okay, thank you, Evelyn. Next, I'd like to approve the minutes from last month, September 25th. I make that motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. And I'll open it up for discussion. If there's something you'd like to amend on that, please bring that up now. Okay, I guess there isn't anything, so the minutes stand. We'll take the vote now. If you are in favor of the minutes as written, please either say yes or raise your hand, please.
Aye.
I'm going to be abstaining. I wasn't here last month, so put me down as an abstain. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, so Kurt is also abstaining. The motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda is the President's report. That would be me. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank our VP, Kathleen Dowling, for running the general meeting last month while I was on vacation. I heard really great things, that she did a good job on that, so thank you so much, Kathleen, for filling in for me. Okay. On another note, I'd like to mention a tool that we have at our disposal, the Keystone Connection Resident Portal. By now, you should have set your account up. If you haven't, it's easy to do by going to oceanaseniors.org and clicking on the top right, it says log into Keystone Connections. And we have the CRC volunteers available to help you. They were not getting any homeowners coming in anymore needing help. So if you still need help doing that, you can contact me by email or any of the board members. We will reach out to you, or you can go to the office and they should be able to help you. Okay? As of today, the portal, you can check your account balance, you can pay your monthly assessment, you can set up a pay schedule to come out every month automatically. You can fill out a work request and submit it right from that portal. And you can check back on seeing where that work request is. There are other printable forms that are also on there, such as architecture, landscaping, compliance, and we are currently working with Keystone to have these additional forms in an editable form. Once this is complete, you will be able to fill in the form, submit it. You won't have to print and bring it to the office. It's also a great way of tracking your submission. We're also working on having our governing documents ported over, so everything will be at your fingertips. So if you have not done that, I strongly urge you to get into your portal and set that up. Okay, I'd like to end with a thank you to the many homeowners who came to the Budget Committee community meeting this past Friday and Saturday. The budget is probably one of the most difficult but important actions we take in our year. It is a balancing act of having enough to cover the repairs and maintenance of our common area and infrastructure, covering our bills, yet being mindful that we are all seniors with limited income. We appreciate your questions and suggestions both at the meeting and for the emails that I received. As I said, we're still waiting for some numbers regarding those reserve projects. So to make the best decision, we've decided to hold off today and have a special general session Tuesday, November 5th at 10 a.m. This is open to the homeowners. It is a special general session. We will discuss and vote for the 2025 budgets. The homeowners, you will have that budget mailer no later than November 30th. Pardon?
Annual report?
The annual report, the budget mailer, yes. The reserve study that was done for this year, that will be in there. Okay. So today's meeting is a little shorter than anticipated because we are not doing the budget this morning. Okay, next on the reports would be the Secretary's report. Evelyn?
One of the board's goals is to improve communication between the board and the membership. In between board meetings, directors work to complete projects to accomplish OCA's short-term and long-term goals of the 2024-2025 strategic plan. The board will periodically present to the membership a progress report. It is essential the membership is aware of the status, the board's progress for obtaining the goals of the strategic plan. This progress report is categorized as completed tasks, ongoing tasks, and work in progress. The board conducted their annual strategic planning workshop on May 9, 2024, held a resident town hall on June 9, 2024, and a follow-up to the 2024 strategic planning on June 11th. During this workshop, the board completed an extensive review of the strengths, growth areas, residents' desires, and future of the community. The following are the conclusions based on the combined knowledge of our community. The OCA Board 2024-2025 strategic plan focuses on 8 key factors. 1, improve communication between board, staff, and membership. 2, update and improve effectiveness of OCA's technology. 3, increase funding resources and reduce financial risk. 4, resolve current legal issues. 5, update documentation on policies and procedures. 6, improve effectiveness of association management. 7, support communities, chairs, and volunteers. And the last one, care for, repair, and beautify the common area. The key factors guided the OCA board to prioritize goals to set projects in motion. Please find below the list of projects that are categorized as completed tasks, ongoing tasks, and works in progress. I forgot to mention, also you should have attached to this the current strategic plan so that you can follow along. The completed tasks are listed projected costs for all legal pending 2025, the 2025 projected budget report, hired a general manager, Keystone Pacific Management Agreement, we went in agreement with them, facilitated the transition to new management, assisted homeowners with transition, changed out timers on irrigation, established a tree ad hoc committee, established the plant pallet ad hoc committee, established the evacuation disaster plan ad hoc committee, contracted with Total Landscape Creations, new landscape vendor, and a painting project unit 12. And under ongoing tasks, under improved communication between board staff and the membership, we have the Hilltop Highlights News You Can Use article, Friday e-blast, board member of the month, fireside chat, spread positive perspective, outlook, and attitudes, communicate positively and regularly throughout transition, support new owners, neighbors settling in and becoming active, deliver consistent, positive, accurate messages, provide timely and consistent board responses to homeowner inquiries, emails, and calls, process to receive and respond to homeowner input and suggestions, develop update and improve OCA technologies, develop a plan for IT digital storage versus paper storage, increase funding resources and reduce financial risks, work with management to ensure accurate, timely financials, resolve current legal issues, get word out for better resident backing, support for litigation, continue soundness, legal issues versus infrastructure replacement costs, update documentation on policies and procedures, understand and enforce policies and procedures, locate and consolidate approved policies and procedures, locate and consolidate approved policies and procedures going back as far as 10 years, a decade, improve effective association management, management and board work together as a partner, not employer or employee, set up boundaries between the board, Keystone Pacific staff, and homeowners, establish regular flow of information between management and board, care for, repair, and beautify the common area, evaluate and maintain building stucco, identify, fix trip and fall hazards, use drought-resistant plants, desert landscaping to water, to save water on water usage, remove grass, replace with shrubs and low-maintenance plants. Work in progress, develop an evacuation disaster plan, demonstrate appreciation to committee chairs and volunteers, coordinate all needs to minimize IT programs, modify and update homeowner portal, online requests, work on online registration and payment for activities, online registration for rooms, reevaluate the Cox communication contract, OC website, work with the hub on working to coordinate no calls with Mapleson Media, security system in the clubhouse, pool, and office area, and a phone system. This status progress report will periodically be updated to reflect completed tasks to accomplish short-term and long-term goals of the 2024-2025 strategic plan.
Thank you, Evelyn. I do want to mention that the website coordinator, Sandy is in the process of putting the strategic plan on the oceanaseniors.org. I think as of today, it's not on there. Is that correct?
Correct. I sent it to him, but yes.
Okay. It will be probably within, the next week or so. Hope so, yeah. And so check back with that. It would be under documents on the oceanaseniors.org if you want to see what Evelyn just went through, if you're not here to actually have the paper copy in front of you. So check into that, and you'll be able to go through that and see what's on the plan. Perhaps you've added something when you came to one of our strategic plan meetings, and where we're at with that at this point. Next on the agenda is our treasurer's report, and we'll hear from Lynn.
This is based on our September end of month financials, and we seem to have caught up pretty well in September. The transition in August from one management company to another, there's always some, get all of the invoices in there, and we seem to have caught up pretty well. We have a few invoices that we're still tracking down. So there is a negative net income showing for the month of September, but that is because we paid some of the August invoices in September, and it's balancing out for the year. There is going to be an additional adjustment. The $82,000 that was paid in January for expenses from December of 2023 is finally being adjusted by our year-end audit. So that is going to the right year. That may result in an overage this current year, which if that happens, because it's so close to the end of the year, if that happens, those funds will go into, automatically roll into reserves at the end of the year. Our operating fund, what we have in it minus what we owe, we have a balance of about $373,000. Reserve fund has a balance of $1.5 million. That's less than currently shown on the reserve study, but they're adjusting that. Activities has a balance of $12,000, which is kind of that's kind of their goal where they try to stay. The proposed 2025 budget, I had hoped to be able to be spending some time talking about that and then finishing up with a vote and putting it to bed. No one wanted that conversation more today than I did. I'm ready for this to be finished. However, there were some questions still related to whether or not we needed to increase the reserve contribution in 2025 over 2024. We're trying to keep everything down as much as we can. At the same time, we don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face and not include something that really needs to be included. So there were a few questions we had for updating, and the answers to those from our reserve specialist will be here this week, and we will have final numbers and able to present the final budget to the board for final review, discussion, and a vote next Tuesday. So please come on Tuesday, this room, next Tuesday, 10 o'clock, and we'll be addressing it then. I do want to mention that a couple of other benefits along this period of time since our meeting last Saturday. Vaughn has met directly with our insurance broker. Instead of a 20% increase in our insurance, we're down to a 12% increase. They took it policy by policy, and that has helped a lot. We have moved tree trimming. It was an item listed in reserves. Really should be an operating expense because we do that every year. So we have moved that out of reserves into operating, which it just kind of moves it from one category to another. But if you're comparing what you paid one year to the next, you kind of have to keep that in mind. But what we saved on the insurance went to cover that, so it all balanced out. See, there was one other, something else changed that I wanted to mention, but I don't remember at this point what it was. The one thing that I will say is that the one expense that has not changed and will not change until 2026 is the amount we each pay in towards the land lease. That's $76.24. It has been, I think we're going into the 5th year of that. Anyways, the next escalation on that is actually December of 2025, but the payment isn't due on that escalation until January of 2026. So that will be included in the 2026 budget. And actually what we will do at that point, or what I recommend, is to project the increase for the total year and then collect it over the 12 months so that it won't be a whole bunch of different ones. So, hope that you'll be here on Tuesday. I think it's going to be good news. I have a good feeling about it, and that things are not going to go up drastically. And I think it sets a good stage for moving forward. We had talked on Saturday, and Peter even brought it up about what's our plan for increasing the reserves as we move forward and increasing our percent funded. We met yesterday, we being Vaughn and Adam and I, to look at what was funded for this year and completed, what money is left over, how can we wisely use that, what are we going to do for next year, and it's I think it's balancing out to where we're going to, start seeing, as long as we stay right on top of that, start seeing it increase. We are We have budgeted for doing all of Unit 8 for next year. We had thought originally about doing half. We still have to get bids in, but we'll see on that one. We're going to be able to go ahead and start on the streets in Unit 3 this year. That was a for next year project, but we're going to get started early, so we're doing everything we can to. Oh, and we're also going to start with the rewiring of Unit 14 this year. So that's a kudo too. So I will see everybody on Tuesday.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Now we go into our homeowner forum, and during the open forum, each attendee may address the board for up to 3 minutes. Vice President Kathleen Dowling will have her timer on to help you know when you're getting to the end of that 3 minutes. If a speaker is in the middle of a sentence when time is called, he or she may finish the thought before sitting down. The time guidelines ensure that others will have an opportunity to speak. The board is not obligated to respond to or act on anything presented. So with that, we'll start with our homeowner forum. The first person on that is Ellen Marcel. Subject matter is landscape lighting.
Dead battery.
It's not.
No.
Tree lights.
Thank you. I'm Ellen Marcial. I live in Unit 7. I noticed maybe a couple months ago that the pretty white lighting that used to be on the trees in front of the clubhouse disappeared, and I believe it might have been part of the updated landscaping. I know Total Landscape was in there doing some work. Personally, 2 nights a week, I'm in San Diego at different rehearsals, and I get in late at night, and I used to love coming up the hill and seeing the twinkling lights in front of the clubhouse. It just makes the building look so nice, and it's a nice welcoming effect to have for the community. So I hope those lights are coming back, and that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Next is Sue Mansis, followed by Steve Graves. Sue's going to, she's just going to have her 3 minutes.
You guys do realize your budget meeting is on voting day. Was that done on purpose?
No, but we did realize that.
Okay, I just think that's very not good. Okay, now you can start. Okay, Sue Mansis, hi guys, good morning. Is this on?
Yes, you can hold it close.
Hold it close.
Good morning, good morning. Okay, so I've lost track how many years I've been on landscaping. It's been at least, excuse me, 4 and a half. I'm currently on sabbatical because my mom died this summer and I took a little time off. So this is really for the audience to know this, that this board was too cowardly to come to the current landscaping chair and fire him. And not only are they firing him, they are forbidding him to get on landscaping or participate in any way, shape, or form. The time I have been on landscaping, that has never happened. And they didn't even have the decency to talk to him in person. They had Vaughn send him a letter. And also, they did not explain or anything why they were letting him go. There was no working with him at all. I know this because I was on landscaping. Nobody said anything to him. And you all know him personally. Okay, I think this is what the handwriting on the wall is so scary to me, is this when a board is not quote unquote happy with somebody, they just fire them. This is our community. And as far as what do you call them, the laws to our community is, we, all of us, have a right to serve on committees. They are supposed to be chaired by a resident, not by a general manager or a management company. I am just so ashamed of you guys. I'm so shocked and ashamed. I'm also really angry because of the fact that this is our community. How dare you do this to anybody? I think that you owe him an explanation as well as the rest of us, because now I'm afraid that if there's another committee that's not working to your pleasure, you're just going to nix everybody, silence them, cancel them. What is this, you guys? This is just It's scary to me that we now have a new management company and all of a sudden we're operating as though, oh, we don't have anything to do with it. We just have our fall guy over there do it all. And I'm not sure what his involvement is on this either. But I'm very, very suspicious, and this is making me feel very distrustful of you guys, but of also the boards in the future and how this is going to be operating in the future. I hope I really made this crystal clear. Thank you.
Our board treasurer, Lynn, I know we don't normally respond, but she has asked special if she could say something, and then we'll go on to Steve Graves, had some history he wanted to talk about, and then Sandy Reisman will follow Steve Graves.
I just want to get accurate information out. There's misinformation and misunderstandings. The board has worked with the most current chair of the landscape committee for over a year. I know because I have been part of that committee and personally involved. He has been spoken to on multiple occasions, and I know because I spoke to him personally that he was aware of what was happening. I know it was very difficult for him and for the board, but this was not a surprise. It was in his best interest and the best interest of the community. We would not just arbitrarily take an action that was counterproductive to the community that way, because it was a personal issues between the chair and the individual, the chair and the board. We chose not to discuss that. If he chooses that we can disclose the information, we will be glad to, but just like out of respect for anybody else in the room, we chose to keep that between us. So
I think that the audience should know that Kurt and I were not included in any of that. This is the first we've heard of it. We've been censored, much like Mike has been.
Don't spit it, please.
Point of order. If you have something you want to say, make sure you put your name on the paper and speak at the end. Okay.
Okay, listen.
No.
With all due respect, you
Sue,
guys,
you can
don't
come back
spin
and
it.
speak again.
Okay, don't spin it. I know all this stuff because I was on the committee.
Sue, time out, okay? We're going on to Steve Graves. If you'd like to speak again, you
I'll have to wait
put
till
your
the
name.
end.
Yeah, your time was up. Thank
Just
you.
Don't spin it, okay?
Okay, Steve Graves, you are next at the microphone.
Steve Graves, Unit 8. I've been here a while, 15 years. Been involved for a lot of that. What I have to say is not against any director personally. I'm fond of several of you, and I don't want you to take this wrong. The Oceana boards since 2003, or rather 2005, are incompetent. They're incompetent because they don't have time in office. When you take up a job, it takes time to understand what the job is and to know the ins and outs of that job. And Oceana is a big job. I mean, there's a lot of complexity here. We went from a 9-member board with 3-year terms to a 7-member board with 2-year terms, and alternately leaving 3 or 4 out the next year. That means that people coming in as a majority on a 4-year term can completely change the board, and they do. Residents can't rely on what the board's going to say, because a year or two, it's all different. So I would like to have a town hall. I would like to discuss going back to a 9-member group for the board, and I would like to see us really work through this. The reason they went from 9 to 7 was disinterest. They couldn't get the members to participate. my solution to that is to shift the way we get board members from electing them at large to electing them by district, like the Senate. So I will put this out in much more detail because 3 minutes is not adequate. And I hope my comments are included in the minute in what goes out today, because they weren't the last time I spoke. Several of us were cut off before the unedited minutes were sent out. Now, I don't know that that was an accident, because the president was cut off and a number of other people, but we began with Peggy Moore talking about how bad I am. So, anyway, I would really like a town hall and work this up where people can, you know, participate in it, and in such a way that we can actually make progress on it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Some good thoughts there. Sandy Reiser is next, and following Sandy will be Lori Nichols.
Good morning, Sandy Reiser, Unit 3. I have a couple of things this morning to make comment on about the agenda. My first question is, why isn't the community, the e-blast that announces the meeting and the Zoom, why isn't the agenda attached to it? I just don't understand that. We always did that. And it's easier then for homeowners to know what's going to be discussed. So it'd be really great if we could go back to doing that. The second thing is on the minutes, you guys voted for something that did not happen last meeting. You did not approve revising the procedures. As a matter of fact, you tabled it. Kathleen spoke specific, but you all just approved those minutes, and it's incorrect, and that did not happen. So, thank you, Kathleen. I remember the whole conversation. So, that leads me to my next point, which is for the third month, the packet hasn't been sent to those of us who requested it, and those procedures have not been modified, and so we're not using the procedures of the community. If we change them, they still have to go through homeowner comments as well. So it'd be great to know why we still don't get them. Last on agendas, I would really like you guys to discuss among yourselves what an agenda is for these general meetings. Agendas are comprised of ideas and issues submitted by the 7 board members. I find it hard to believe this month that exactly 2 of you had one thing that you wanted to talk about. In 8 months, this seems to be the pattern. Board members are elected to do the work of the association, and while I very much appreciate you serving, more than you know, I ask that you serve us more by putting things on the agenda, discuss them, then vote on them to move us forward as you committed to do when you ran. The good news is the next thing has nothing to do with the agenda. So my last comment is, I noted your November meeting is the day before Thanksgiving, which I've never seen in the time that I've been here. I hope it's not on purpose, because you know probably none of the homeowners will be here because we will be busy with our family, our friends, and cooking. It doesn't make sense to me that the meeting is that day and not the week prior. I would really hope and encourage you to change it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. And Lori Nichols is up next to talk. Thank you for your comments, Sandy. We'll make that adjustment.
Thanks.
Alrighty, I'm Lori Nichols, Unit 8. By the way, I like this new format. It was easy to follow. In regards to fees and whatnot's going up, this is personally for me, my home payments are less than the HOA dues. And that just it surprises the heck out of me. It's not that way in other places, but I also understand that any raises and fees and stuff, you guys have to pay too. So it's not like you're doing it arbitrarily. Most important, I spoke a month or 2 ago about the speeding cars on Vista Campana South. I realize that that is a city street, but I would like to be a little more active in whoever is looking into what we can do to slow the darn cars down. October 3rd, somebody was speeding down Vista Campana South and wrecked into my car. Her insurance totaled my car because it was a 2003. And they said that it would cost them too much to fix it. So they trashed it. I took it to somebody else. He put it up on the thingy and he said, oh, she must have been driving a Mack truck because she crushed the whole underside of my car. The metal parts were broken, things just... She's a neighbor. She's older, she works. I decided not to sue her. Her insurance paid me a little over $3,000 to get another car. Excuse me. The car that was destroyed had under 100,000 miles on it. It was a beautiful car, and there's no way I could replace it for that kind of money. I was the innocent person. She's the guilty person. She got off scot-free. Unless I want to sue her. Again, I don't want to ruin her life. She's a very nice lady. But we got to do something about the speeding cars. Either I sit out there with a little camera or I don't know, but personally, I pity the next person that hurts one of my cars. If I don't take their house away from them, they'll be very happy. And the last thing is, did I just hear that a couple of board members did not hear about what happened to, how come?
We've been censored.
I don't know what censored means, but just later, we're not gonna go into that. I already heard from him what went on. I was just curious.
When there's board, any kind of action like that, it's kept confidential, and
Between the board members?
that's the way that David Sterling has us do it, so yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, I wanted an
They are
explanation,
still
I
board
got it.
members, yes.
Okay, otherwise, my biggest thing is
Thank you.
speeding.
Okay, thank you. We do have somebody addressing that later on through her report. Next on our agenda is the financial report, and Lynn, do you have anything additional you can add to that from your treasurer's report?
No, I put it all in the treasurer's.
Okay, all right, thank you. Then we'll go to the management report with Vaughn.
Okay, a few items in my report. Roxanne brought me up to speed on the Bird Rock settlement, and what that litigation entails. And it seems like there's a check we're still waiting for, and it should be in soon. The new charters for some finance committee and the landscape committee are being reviewed. 5 bids to complete the painting in Unit 12 were expected. 4 arrived. The board did make a decision to move forward with one of them. That will be signed and sent to the vendor today after this meeting. There's a garage structure in Unit 8 that needs to be rebuilt, I think, and the architect who's in charge of that will be communicating with us in terms of drawings, etc. So that's in the works. Some pagoda lights are going to be updated to LED bulbs, units 1, 3, 5, and 6. The work will start this weekend and will continue for a number of weekends. And as we heard, the wiring for the lighting in Unit 14 was reviewed by an outside contractor, and when they give us a proposal to repair it, that will also be signed and completed this year. Unit 3 concrete work, that agreement will also be, as a matter of fact, it was approved by the board last night. So American Asphalt will be doing Unit 3's concrete work as well as Unit 3's asphalt grinding and resealing. Adam's in charge of buying some new pieces of equipment this year, generator, the camera scope thing that you go into sewer lines with, and a couple other things. So he's been given the green light to purchase those. The new irrigation controllers passed inspection by the Metropolitan Water District. The rebate's going to be a little less than what was anticipated because they lowered the number of eligible stations from about 1,400 to just over 1,000. There was a discussion for screens in the windows in the community building, card, billiard room, and art rooms. That's in the works. A new designated laptop for board meetings was purchased. It's being used currently. And the association documents that are on oceanaseniors.org will be copied and placed in the Keystone portal, and I will be doing that.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say on Vaughn's first statement about the Bird Rock settlement, I'm not going to go into what it is, but it finally was, we were found that we would be getting, it was a foreclosure situation, but the opposition has gone into appeal, so we won't see anything on that for who knows how long. So if you want more information about that, I'd be happy to, to talk to you, email you, explain it a little bit more. This happened way back in like 2020, something like that. Okay.
Adam, Roxanne, can I read Adam's report?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our maintenance supervisor also gave me a few points to bring to your attention. In progress are the following projects. Unit 14 lights, as I mentioned. The backflow testing and maintenance by Pacific Backflow, that's in progress. Unit 3 repainting of the fire lanes. Unit 3589 light conversions to LED. Unit 11 seal and bid to fill the holes that are in that unit made due to a water leak. That's going to be completed by American Asphalt when they do the concrete and asphalt work. And 4 items completed. The auditorium water line repair to the drinking fountain has been fixed. Unit 5 fence by house number 80 has been repaired. MS roofing completed 8 garage roofs. And there was a clean out in Unit 8, I'm not understanding his writing, that was dug up and replaced with ABS pipe. Staffing for the maintenance crew. Mark Anderson started. He was placed here by a temp firm called Eastridge, who has a contract with Keystone. And we have 2 other maintenance technicians in the pipeline, start date unknown as of today. One came from Keystone, the other one from the same temporary firm, Eastridge. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next on, it was old unfinished business. We have the evacuation disaster plan. This is still work in progress that's being led by Teresa Chamberlain-Spradlin. Teresa, do you have anything at all that you want to mention before we go on to?
Yes. There's a lot of information, and there's a couple of people that would like to be on the committee, and we're going to go through the massive amount of information to try to pare it down. And then there's going to be an e-blast coming out for anybody who'd like to be part of that ad hoc committee. And we'll have a meeting day and time for the first organizational meeting to start that plan.
Teresa, the other night at the 503 meeting with the planning department, one of the items that we're appealing for is to have an evacuation plan done by the new developer. So maybe Ellen and you could discuss that.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, Ellen, it'd be nice to get together with that.
Okay, thank you. Now we go into new business. The first is the election coordinating committee members. Ellen Marcel has been in charge of that committee. It's on page 16. Okay, she has provided us with a calendar of events and what needs to take place at what point. Ellen, did you want to say anything more on that? Okay, then we'll go right into the motion. We have a motion here to approve the election coordinating committee for the 2025 HOA Board of Directors elections. The committee consists of Ruth Gross, Ellen Marcel, Pat McCardle, Gail Olnick, and Tony Schwab. Committee chair and secretary will be selected at the committee's first meeting. So I make a motion to approve this committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, then by a show of hands, all in favor of this committee, raise your hand.
And thank you, Ellen, for doing this.
Okay, looks like it passed unanimously. Thank you, Ellen. Then also, as I said, she did provide us with a committee timeline, which was really great to have it right in front of us. And the motion that we're making on this is to include the election information in the packet that is mailed to homeowners with the proposed OCA budget. Okay, I don't recall in the past if that was included, but the motion is being made to include that information. The election coordinating committee will prepare a one-page flyer to be included in the homeowner packets. So do I have a second on that motion?
I second.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? Discussion? Okay, so then we'll have the vote by a show of hands. All in favor of including that mailer? Okay, thank you. So Vaughn, make sure that you make note of that mailer needs to be in that packet before it goes out, and you can coordinate that with Ellen. Okay. All right. Then I put in a motion of the architectural committee has been working on guidelines for house numbers. And as the liaison for that committee, I was there, and that's on page 23. I don't know if you have that or not, you guys.
Yeah, we do have it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the proposed modification to the architectural guidelines, page 30, in the guidelines. First of all, they had it falls under weather vanes, house numbers, ornamental and decorative objects, okay? Under weather vanes and other objects must not be affixed to roofs or associated leased garages. Finish of the weather vane must be white, bronze, rust, or brushed metal. The fixture must be a single roof mounted unit and not exceed 24 inches in height. An experienced roofer or contractor is recommended for installation. And the other thing in there that they wanted to note, and this will all go out to the homeowners for review, okay, was the house numbers. Right now, there's a variety of house numbers and there's really no guidelines as to the size, or some people put their house number instead of a numeral. They might put it in Roman numerals, or they might spell out, you know, O-N-E or something to that effect. So this is the guidelines that they have come up with. The house numbers must be expressed in numerical format as opposed to lettering or Roman numerals. House numbering must be continuous and horizontal, vertical, or they can be at a downward angle. The maximum font size for each number must not exceed 8 inches in height. Individual numbers, number signs, or number plaques must be attached to the homeowner's wall, trim, siding, or mailbox. House number stake signs or plaques must be located on the homeowner's property, not in common area. The size of the individual number, groups, signs, plaques, or stake signs must not exceed 24 inches in any direction. So when you have your 8-inch numerals there, and you measure from one side to the other, or up and down, must not exceed 24 inches in any direction. Attachment of these objects to exterior walls of a residence must not impede maintenance personnel and must be removed prior to the repainting of the residence. House numbers must be visible to emergency personnel. Okay, so with that, the motion was, that a mailer would be, we would adopt these guidelines and a mailer will be sent out to homeowners regarding this rule change for house numbers as recommended. So do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Kathleen seconded. Is there any discussion? Any comments? Okay, with that,
Sorry,
oh, go ahead.
a brief one.
Okay, you have to hold it for a minute or two, a couple seconds. Let go.
Great technical difficulty.
I just happen to have one of those homes where the only visible wall for my house to put a number on is either my gate, which is set back a ways, because my the association garage is in front of my home. And the only other part maybe would be because of the way the garage site is and my personal enclosed porch is way off the street. So I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I don't know if that's something that would be an exception to bring to the architectural committee for having a house number that's visible, because there's a little bit of common ground, bushes up my walkway. When the garage was replaced, I did put some sticker number on top of the garage, so at least you know that's my house number. But I don't know if that's something that would be an exception.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, because there might be more homeowners who have situations like that this committee on the architectural committee didn't foresee. So if you have that type of a problem where you cannot have it on the recommended areas, then I would suggest just taking it in front of the architectural committee. It's obvious that you have to have visible numbers on your house for deliveries, as well as for emergency situations where you need to find you. So I would suggest, I'm sure that something can be worked out in those cases. Okay, so with that, is there any other discussion?
I'm curious why we feel the need to spend the money to do a mailing.
I think Evelyn could probably answer that, but I believe that it is in our documents that when we make a change like that, we have to send that out to the homeowners so they have a certain amount of time to review it and make comments.
Yeah, because the number of people that are actually going to be modifying their numbers would seem to me to be a very small number of folks, and notifying 932 people when there may be only a handful that would even make that change. I just have the question.
Okay, good comment. Maybe we can look into this a little further and
Or maybe
possibly send it with the mailer for the budget, which is going out next month.
My question is, because thank you for bringing that question up, because we want to save money, and we're discussing about saving money. We're projecting the costs for next year. Is it possible that we can send it out on an e-blast, or can we put it on the website?
I think David Sterling says a rule change, you have to mail it out, but it could go with the monthly invoice.
We're using your microphone, no one heard your comments.
Sorry about that. I believe that it's a David Sterling, if you're changing a rule that's established or adding to it, that you have to do a mailer so that everybody receives it. But I think it could be included with one of the monthly mailers that already goes out.
Okay, can you make a note of that, Vaughn? We can look into the best way to do that to save on the cost of an extra mailer. Okay, so are there any other questions or discussion on that motion? Okay, we'll have a vote then by a show of hands.
Can you reread the motion?
Sure. The motion is to have a mailer sent out to homeowners regarding a rule change for house numbers as recommended by the architectural guideline. I believe we also need to ratify that change that they made.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
When they're putting in this rule, are people who currently have house numbers that don't align with that, are they being grandfathered in, or are they going to be required to make a change?
That didn't come up. I guess we'll discuss that at the next. My understanding is that they will be required to make the change and given a certain amount of grace period, but I don't think that was discussed at all, so I don't know how I can answer that.
It seems to me that if we're going to make them do that, then that becomes an HOA cost.
Okay, can we make a note on that and we can discuss that Or we can, yeah, we'll have to bring that up at the next meeting, whether or not we want to cover any costs for that.
Or let him just leave it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we need to table this. I think the guidelines that they've come up with are very sound. They're to create uniformity. We've had some people who create like humongous, huge lettering on their house. So I think the guidelines are important, and we're following the rules of David Sterling by sending out the mailer. So that's what this motion is about, and we can go into discovering, you know, how that would impact homeowners and who would cover that cost and when they would have to do it if it wasn't grandfathered. So we can bring that up at the committee meeting and make a decision on that. So for now, if there's any other discussion on this motion.
Well, I mean, you have to decide that before you can send a communication. So I don't know that you can vote on something when you don't have all of the information necessary to be able to answer the question, will people be grandfathered in? And if they aren't, what would be the expense in order to rework the ones that are outside of compliance? And who's going to pay for it? It feels like this is an incomplete recommendation.
Okay, are you making a motion then to table this? Okay, so Kurt is making a motion to table this until we have further information. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, so then all in favor, raise their hand.
This is for the table.
To table this motion on the guidelines until we know if they would be grandfathered, if they've already have something that's not complying, and if they aren't grandfathered, who would be paying for the new ones. So we're tabling that until next month. In that time frame, we will find the answers to this. Okay, so all in favor of tabling it? Okay, I guess it's unanimous, so that one we're going to put off then. Okay, then the next thing we have, just the liaison reports. And normally we just do a consensus vote on that. We do have on number 3, the 503 Vista Bella Project Ad Hoc Committee. We just had a planning commission meeting, and I believe Ellen would like to speak on that, so I'm inviting Ellen to come up.
Hi, I'm Ellen Marcial. I live in Unit 7, and I am chair of the 503 Vista Bella Ad Hoc Committee that was approved by this board in May. And normally I would have given this to you in writing ahead of time, but it only happened Monday night, not in compliance with open meeting laws, so you weren't able to attach it to your agenda. So I'm just going to tell you what happened. So on Monday, October 28th, 2024, the Oceanside Planning Commission had a public hearing for the proposed apartment tower at 503 Vista Bella. The planning staff spoke first and reiterated that state law allows developers who are proposing low-income units to ask for an unlimited number of waivers, and the individual cities cannot deny them unless health or safety impacts will ensue. Then the developer's lawyer and architect spoke. I had 10 minutes to make my presentation on behalf of Oceana. I spoke of 5 health and safety issues. They were ingress-egress problems, emergency vehicle safety, pedestrian safety, slope instability, and negative health impacts of the new tower on the adjacent residences. None were enough for the Planning Commission to deny the application. In lieu of the Planning Commission denying the application, though, I had requested mitigation measures for each of the 5 health and safety impacts. They were creating an evacuation plan to offset the increased traffic at our ingress-egress points, making the apartment tower age-restricted to reduce parking, traffic, and a faster pace of life, flashing pedestrian beacons at the corner of Vista Campana and Vista Bella, engineered civil drawings for the site, and a trust fund in the amount of $200,000 to correct any ventilation problems that result from the new tower. Also, Pastor Jonathan from the Coastline Baptist Church spoke for 10 minutes very effectively about the reciprocal parking agreement that has been in place on the 503 Vista Bella site since 2005. He also spoke about some federal protections regarding a church's freedom to worship. The Planning Commission's first motion for approval included 4 of my 5 requested mitigation measures, but unfortunately, staff was able to convince the Planning Commission that none of them could be enforced. So the apartment tower was approved without any conditions of approval, except for the developer to make good faith effort to work with us. The lawyer did ask for my card at the end of the meeting, and we'll see if anything comes of that. There were approximately 50 residents from Oceana in attendance, all wearing our new Oceana buttons that Karen McGuire made. We took up most of the seats in the council chambers, and thank you to everyone. Thank you on the Zoom. Thank you to everyone who was there. It was wonderful to see just a sea of Oceana people in the council chambers. In the meantime, I am in touch with Mayor Sanchez and will be filing an appeal with the city clerk's office in the next few days. I will let everyone know when I have a date for the Oceanside City Council to hear our appeal. Any questions?
I would just like to comment. Sorry, to thank Ellen for an awesome job. I was watching, and you did a wonderful job. The way that you spoke to everything, I mean, even everybody on the commission was impressed and spoke to it. The fact that you said, here are the issues, and here are some solutions, really moved them. If it hadn't been for the staff person who interrupted everything, but one commissioner did, she voted against.
Right, she denied it,
because,
yeah.
And she said, I'm denying it because I don't think they're gonna follow through. They're gonna say they can't afford to do this, I don't trust them. So, thank you. You did us proud. Thank you, thank you.
I wanted to piggyback on what William was saying and thank you for letting me know, Kathleen, because my wife and I watched it live, and all of what we could see was thank you so much, and thank you for the ad hoc committee, the members of the committee, the work and dedication that you put it into this, and I want to say thank you on behalf of the residents that could not attend. And it was amazing to see you up there in a sea of people. I call it a sea of Oceana people behind you, backing you, and supporting you. And thank you for what you did. Unfortunately, it's not over yet.
Not over yet.
It's not over yet, but I want to say thank you for what you're doing for us and representing us.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
I also have to agree. I have spoken to a couple of the members on the committee, but those of you who I have not talked to personally, I just want you to know we're so proud of you and so grateful for what you did. They had renderings of the building from different directions, things that even the architect for that development did not show, which Ellen has requested. It was pretty impressive. They did a really amazing job with the amount of knowledge they had and the planning that went into this. Thank you.
Well, and I have to say that this was very much a group effort. Up until Friday, the Friday before the meeting, we thought we could have 3 people in our allotted 10 minutes. We knew it was 10 minutes, but we thought we could divvy it up, and so we had speeches. I mean, we had it all choreographed, and then literally on Friday we found out, oh no, it can only be 1 person. So it was kind of a mad scramble then to combine everything into one presentation, but really Peter Cornog and Jay Lee, Tracy, you all know who you are, Brian, Dave, Anita, Sue, I'm forgetting people, I know I'm forgetting people, but it was very much a group effort. So thank you for your kind words, but it's been a group effort and we're almost done. Thanks.
It's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
And the committee, we thank all of you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. We do have on the committee updates also the Vista Campana Speed Ad Hoc Committee. And one of our homeowners this morning spoke about, you know, the amount of speeders that are coming through here. So Sandy, did you want to talk on that?
Gotta bring that back, Teresa.
This is my first time, please forgive me.
Hi, yes, actually, since the report I gave you, I have asked permission from the city for us to install cameras if you would approve them. They're expensive, but you know, I wanted you to know what the dollar amount was. Great idea Vaughn brought to me, so thank you, Vaughn, for that. And so we have to get permission for them because we're recording things that happen on the city. So I made that request probably Wednesday or Thursday was after I had to get the report to you guys. So I have not heard back from them on that. It's a sticky wiki because I don't think we're gonna be able to cite them for something that happens on a city street, and she wasn't sure the police could use our camera vision. So I need to talk to her again about that, but at least it wasn't like a no. And I don't know, and Laura's not here anymore. Oh, did you do a police report on October 3rd? So this is interesting. I was told there were no police reports except for the one that happened with our vendor. I said, I know that's a lie, because somebody's car was totaled last year. The police came out and said for the HOA to fix the problem. So Lori, you filed one when you're on your October 3rd incident as well, correct?
Yes.
You filed a police report. So the traffic engineering department is saying there is no police report. So I wrote that down to go back and say, okay, now you've had 3 police reports. Because as I told you in my report, they did a study a year ago and we were below what goes under what they call something care. You know, basically a higher awareness where we could use speed bumps or something like that. They did that study about a year ago, and we don't have enough traffic. We have speeders, but we don't have enough traffic. And if you live up in Campana, the last week we've also had a motorcycle that goes up and down at super high speed, and they go up and down like 3 times. So I don't know what that's about. So I will go back to her and talk about this police report and ask for things. So if you want to discuss the cameras, that was in my report, the approximate cost.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Sandy?
Any questions on there?
Okay. As of this time, Sandy?
I do have a question.
Okay, let me just finish my thought. As of this time, I understand that they have agreed to put some signage up eastbound from the entrance into Oceana at D and W streets and westbound at G and U street. That's kind of where we're at with that right now?
Correct. So this was something that they were supposed to do. I said, when should I follow up with you? She said a month. When I did, she hadn't done it. So she said, thanks for reminding me. I'll put it at the top of my pile. I don't know how effective that will be because it's just another sign that nobody looks at. And I think our situation here is requires a little more assistance, but so far this is where we're at. So if they come back and say no, my next step is to reach out to our city council people and ask for some assistance on that because this is a safety issue. So that's the next step, but I'm trying to go within the rules for the current moment.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure if that new development goes in, it's a subject that can be brought back up again.
That's true.
Because things are going to drastically change too. Is there any other questions for Sandy?
Yes, I do have a question. You said the city did a speeding test last year, and we did not meet the criteria. However, have you inquired about, you know how we go down when you drive down El Camino Real, sometimes they have those...
The flashing sign?
The flashing sign to determine the speed. Have you talked with them about placing that on Vista Campana? And see if we can use
the only thing we're eligible for is speed limit signage. So we went into that program, I'm sorry, I forget the name of it. It's got a name, it's in your report. If you do that, then they can do additional things. But we don't qualify it based on the study. And the study's only a year old. I would doubt our traffic is any busier now than it was a year ago, so.
I did a little bit of research on the radar signs, and there's some lower cost ones that we might be able to afford ourselves as long as the city would approve us attaching them to existing posts. They're maybe a couple $100 versus I think those bigger ones are thousands. But it would be at our expense. We would have to pay for it. The city wouldn't pay for it.
Correct, and we also, what I told them is we would put it on our property, not theirs. And so that way there was no, the city won't allow it, because that was like a whole nother thing we know they would say no to. But we have to get permission to take pictures on their property. So that's the thing I'm asking right now, is do you give us permission? And then also, would the police cite that? Because, and Vaughn, feel free to add to this. His feedback to me was, in his previous community, they did this, they paid for themselves in a couple years, everybody paid the fees because they knew they got caught. But the question is, can we do a fee on somebody speeding that isn't on our property? I don't believe that we can do that. So we could do awareness, but I'm not sure we could do anything else. But I think if people know there's cameras, that would be helpful, for sure.
And the radar signs that you're referring to, Kurt, those would just show you how fast you're going, right? Or would they do something else?
They could just be flashing. I mean, they could just be solar
Yeah.
speed signs that just blink all day long and all night. I mean, there's a lot of different variations of speed limit signs all the way up to, whatever your high score is as you're going by.
So, maybe what we could do is look at the cost of that signage and put it on our property. Again, though, it's pointing, but it's not taking a picture, so I think we're probably safe there. But I still would like the city to say, we don't care, right? I mean, we can't tell you what to do on your own property. But the speed.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
As a homeowner, before I was on the board, I did a little bit of research, and they're very supportive of anything that we would do to help to control speed in the area, because they do realize that there's a lot of limitations.
Right.
I do think that there was one more accident on Vista Campana D, I think it's F Street, just across from the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
There was another car that was totaled there.
Recently, or like
Within the last year.
Correct, and I told them that, and she said there was no OPD report, but now I've got two. I said, I know it is, because they completely annihilated that car, and the woman would have died had she been in it.
It's not too late to do a report.
But she did do a report. The police came out, and I was present at the time, and that she came to me and said, they told me the HOA has to do something about this. I said, this is on a city street.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so maybe the next step is to research the blinky signs, because that could be a less expensive solution, and something I don't think we need to get the city's permission from. You guys want me to do that?
I would say to find out the cost of it, yes.
Yeah.
Please follow through with it.
I'll send it to you, Sandy. We have some of those as well.
The flashing signs? Okay, great.
The other is that trailer that they bring in on a temporary basis.
The ones that sit there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that helps. It's not going to be there forever, but they said that there's a high demand for that. But now that we've had these accidents, they may have a more favorable look at it, because the last time I talked to them about this was probably 6 years ago.
Yeah. They don't want to not help, it's just that they have their rules. That's what I'm getting, so. Dumb rules. Okay, I'll find out about the flashing signs from Vaughn.
Thank you for all of your research you've done, and to continue forward with this. The homeowners out there who are, fearful of their life and their property are very grateful. Okay, with that, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the minutes from the committees that were submitted. We did not get a committee minutes from the Hub or from Unit Advisors.
Unit Advisors meets on odd months, that's what.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, is there a second on the motion to ratify the minutes?
I second.
Any discussion before we take a vote on that? Okay. All in favor of ratifying the minutes from the committee meetings, please raise your hand. And Kurt and Lisa, are you on? No?
Abstain.
Okay, 2 abstains. Thank you. Okay. The next board meeting, our next board meeting will be on Tuesday, November 5th at 10 a.m. The sole purpose and agenda there will be to discuss the new budget and to vote on that. And if it's kind of come up just recently, so we will have, I believe we'll have Zoom available. We'll talk about it. Zoom, and hopefully we'll have it recorded. Okay,
Do we want to talk about the open board meeting in November? Do we want to move it up a week? Or do we want to talk about that later?
I think we have to all pull our calendars out. I don't know if we have that right now. So, I mean, I think that was Sandy who brought up the fact that it was the day before Thanksgiving. I would rather, give us each time to pull up our calendars and look at if we can make it, or we can do it by Zoom, or I would be in favor of moving it, but I don't know what my calendar says right now. So I don't want to say table until next month, but we'll talk about it. We can do an email vote.
Can we add that to the agenda for Tuesday?
Yes, we can. Yes, that's a good idea. Okay. Vaughn, can you make a note to add that to the agenda, discussing moving the date of the November meeting? Okay. With that, is there anything else for discussion? Okay. Then I call this meeting adjourned. Do I have a second on that?
Wait a minute. What about us? What about you know, the people that we were supposed to talk to, and what about Susan?
We have three.
I have plenty of things to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have a second when
Yeah, it's not on the agenda. I'm sorry. When I said, Sue, you'd have to speak later at the end of the homeowner comments. I'm fine with her speaking now.
Well, actually, I want to say.
Oh, you wanted to say something.
after the meeting.
Okay, we'll talk to you after the meeting then, because it is not on the agenda, and we're trying to stick to an agenda.
Hey, it's supposed to be for number one, and for number two, I'm supposed to be heard by everybody, not just by you. What's that all about?
Can you?
We're sticking to the agenda. If you have more comments, I said that we
every
could
time
talk
I've
about
come
it.
here, people
We
get up
don't
at the
have
end.
that on the agenda for homeowner comments at the end of the meeting. We have a homeowner comment in the beginning.
End of discussion, sir, thank you. You
Okay.
can talk to me if you like.
All those
Why?
in favor of adjourning, the time is 10:50.
I adjourn.
Okay.
It's over?